Hey, this is Edwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. And I want to talk to you about how much money you should be spending on marketing. Edwin Dearborn here, another edition of Growth Driven. And today I want to talk about a topic that not a lot of people discuss but are concerned about. And that is, how much money should I spend on marketing? Is there a certain percentage? Is there a rule? How do I determine this? Before I get into suggestions about your marketing budget, it's very important to understand that the budget works for the strategy. Your budget should support your marketing and business strategy. If you don't have a business and marketing strategy, a budget will become a limiter for you. It will not be something that fuels your business or grows your business. It will actually be something that inhibits your business. Talk to anybody, and I've done this in public forums, whether it's on a webinar or live seminars that I've done, before the whole lockdown happened. And what I found is that the word budget has a negative connotation in people's minds. It's not a fun word. Budget means limitations. Budget means we can't do that. It's not in the budget. You hear that often. It's not in the budget. But then you find out they don't have an actual budget. Can I see your budget? Well, we don't have a budget. They just say it. And furthermore, they don't even have a marketing plan. So they don't have a plan to be supported by a budget. And then they use budget in a negative context to limit their actual growth. So a budget is only going to make sense if you've got ambitious business goals laid out that are built in of how you're going to utilize your existing resources. How are you going to use your database, your connections, your relationships, your customers, your referral sources, partnerships? All of this needs to be within your marketing plan. Then we can start to build, well, what type of budget, what type of financing would be needed to move those objectives forward so that these goals are met, whether they're 1-year goal, 2-year goals, 3-year goals, 10-year goals, it doesn't matter. We've got to have some strategy that then monitors the budget versus your budget now monitors your strategy. And every time finance monitors strategy, it always reduces growth. So I want to share with you something from Entrepreneur Magazine and then I'll tell you what I do, how much money I spent on marketing. So right here, if you take a look at this article, it says new companies. For companies that have been in business for 1 to 5 years, we suggest using 12 to 20% of your gross revenue or projected revenue on marketing. 12 to 20%. Established companies, we suggest allocating between 6 and 12 of your gross revenue or projected revenue. So it seems that 12% seems to be the ground where both meet. Now, I suggest that you spend a little bit more than that middle ground and you spend 15%. That's what I spend. Not only do I spend my effort and my time marketing with growth-driven podcasts, YouTube videos, posting on social media, but I also spend about 15% of my gross revenue on virtual assistants, marketing platforms, podcasting platforms, video platforms, advertising, et cetera, et cetera. So if I make $20,000 in a month, I'm spending about $3,000 of that on marketing, actually getting my brand out there. And that has proven to be a conservative way to grow my business. Now, as I learn and deploy my virtual assistants and my advertising and my partnerships over time, we're able to whittle down what really is successful and what is not. And we can put more money or the same amount of money, but to things that we know produce results. And this is something that's going to happen when you have a strategy and a budget. You're going to do reviews of, well, what's driving the needle? What's driving the growth? And then you're going to be able to allocate more funds or allocate the same amount of funds to more effective activities. Because if you know something works, you can start eliminating things that don't work or work as well. And now that you've really got a groove going, now you can start to allocate even more money to that thing that you found that works. So if give you an example, and this is just a simple example. Let's say I'm running a Google ad campaign and I've selected 100 keywords that I want to go after in my Google campaign. I'm marketing a bookkeeping company, and let's say I have all these different long tail keywords. Long tail means it's got 4 or 5 words like, best bookkeeper in Tampa, Florida, best bookkeeper for construction companies. And I select out all these keywords and I throw a bunch of money at it over 90 days. And over that 90 days, I review how much money I'm spending and what keywords are driving the most clicks, the most phone calls, and the most new clients. Well, all of a sudden now I can take that analysis because I have a strategy and I have a budget that's being deployed. So now I have real world metrics and KPIs to look at. And I can probably eliminate 50 of those 100 keywords because they don't perform, and then put the same amount of money into not only the keywords that are working and working well, but I can even expand those keywords, similar keywords, to further areas, to a larger group of area or different demographics in different cities. So I can take my success and now I can multiply it. And as I multiply it, I make more money. And as I make more money, because I'm dedicated a certain percentage, I now have more money and I have learned what is successful. So now my money even goes further because I've developed a marketing strategy. I've watched the KPIs. I've executed the strategy. I've allocated budget towards it. And I'm living and learning as I go and making sure that my money goes to things that work. Now, this seems all obvious to you, but let me tell you, it's not obvious. I've had many times where when I sit down with a partnership or a client, the first thing I do is I ask, can I see your written marketing plan? 99.9% of the time, they do not have a written plan. So that's where we begin. And I always start the plan with, okay, well, you're in business, so obviously something is going right. Can you just tell me the top 2 or 3 sources of business that you are getting? I mean, you are in business despite the fact that you don't have a business plan, you don't have a marketing plan. You're doing some type of marketing or promotion in some manner. Let's identify that and let's start there. Maybe we can find more opportunities within what you're already doing. Usually what I get is, well, we get referrals, but we don't have a proactive referral program. We have a website and we spend SEO money, but we don't know what the SEO guy is doing. He's doing SEO. They've never audited his work. They don't understand what they're doing. They just kind of pay the SEO guy. And then I go and do an audit and I find out the SEO guy is doing a bunch of spammy links and keyword stuffing and some other tactics that just, Google is way smarter than that. So they're spending money to something they don't know that works. And, you know, maybe they have some Google reviews. They're getting some calls from Google, maybe a few calls from Yelp. But again, they don't have a proactive plan to generate more reviews, more positive reviews. They just kind of hope that they happen. They play defense when it comes to reputation management. They're not playing offense. And you've got to score some touchdowns to win in business. So all of a sudden what I do is I go, okay, here's where you're getting clients already with zero strategy or very little strategy. Now imagine if we became strategic, intelligent, mindful, thoughtful, intentional about these things. We started to become proactive. We started to involve, you know, the team, the crew, the employees, the front office girl, your influencers, your patients, your clientele into this activity. And we threw some money at it to bolster it with technology, whether that be better SEO, email marketing, automation of posting on social media, paid ads on Google, videos, FAQs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And inevitably, if we persist and learn and iterate and persist and execute and iterate over time, that strategy and budget becomes quite lethal for the business's growth. Now, when you start out in marketing, there is a process of shedding what doesn't work. This is part of strategy. Strategy isn't just what to do. A key component of strategy is also what not to do. So very often when we start a marketing program, we're learning what doesn't work. And yes, we have to spend money, but we're looking at a long-term view of that spend. We're not looking just for the immediate ROI. We're also looking at where does our money work the best? Because we plan on being in business for 10 years. So there may be a little bit of a learning curve and a spending curve to get to that ideal strategy budget mix that gives us predictable growth. So based on that article for Entrepreneur, if you're just starting out, it's 12 to 15%. And if you're established, it's 6 to 12. I recommend that middle ground should always be maintained, particularly if you really want to grow. And yes, you have to spend money in some way or some fashion to grow your business. But if you've got the budget as your main strategy, you're always going to be hindering your own growth. This is Edwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. If you find this valuable, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Thank you for once again sticking with me and viewing this video. Hopefully this content is helping you. If you ever need help from a virtual chief marketing officer, I am here to help you grow. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.